There have been so many trad wife stories gone wrong to where they are a cautionary tale. But this story, the new trophy wife on YouTube, is definitely a heart wrenching story and why I caution women about this lifestyle. She created a whole brand around being a wife and a mother. And now that this whole terrible situation has come out, she's going to have to figure out her life. And this is one of the reasons why I do not believe that women should make being a wife and a mother their whole personality. Someone sent me the Reddit post and her video, but I read the Reddit post first and it just took my breath away. Trigger warning, there is child SA in this story. So if you don't know this woman, she's Isis, aka the new trophy wife. She's a YouTuber whose content gravitates around hypergamy and manifesting your dream husband and family. She openly admires Shira Seven, the Sprinkle Sprinkle Lady, popular for her advice on how to flirt with the patriarchy in order to use rich men for their money in the name of being independent. Isis was married to the perfect provider man who was willing to invest in her even though she already has two children. Her content was encouraging women to know their value in this society and not give their body to bad men. When one day she disappeared from the internet for 8 months. She comes back in a simple, unedited video saying that the man who she trusted more than anybody abused her 4 and 2-year-old daughters, describing him as a monster. She would never have guessed this was coming, blinded by her love for Prince Charming, who is perfect. Now, it's also come out that these two children, the 4 and 2-year-old, were his children. That they were his children. And I don't know that for certain. That's what somebody said in one of the comments or to me, because her kids were older kids. So keep in mind, this was posted in the 4B community. So they're using this more as a cautionary tale to stay away. So this person says, Dear 4B community, the lesson here is that no matter the man you're with, attractive, unattractive, young, old, rich, poor, introvert, extrovert, religious, atheist, who will wait before marriage or not, you are never safe. Something will happen, whether it is the beginning or the middle of the relationship. I'm making this post because I can't get this out of my mind. I'm terrified. My heart is racing and I can't sleep. Please stay safe and protect yourselves at all costs, even if you appear rude or nonchalant. And something else that has come out is that this man was supposedly about 20 years older than her. And what I appreciate about this woman, she saw something that was off with their kids, well, with the two girls. She noticed that the baby was red down there, and she took this child as quickly as she could to get checked out. She believed the daughter, even though the daughter was 4 years old. She believed this child and extracted the child from the situation to get her into a safe situation. Because sometimes some women are so invested in that image that they might throw their daughters under the bus. But this woman did not. Her brand was not more important than these girls. Let's look at a few of these comments. This person says, yes, Fritos will use single mothers to gain unsupervised access to children. It's horrendous. Okay, Blackberry says, horrifyingly enough, there are parents who pimp out their kids to these people. They use the children as bait. Most children who are prostituted are introduced to it by a relative. Loud Big Von Beef Oven says, I wasn't pimped out, but was a victim to a man that was specifically looking for a single mom. It's not as obvious, but it is too common than any of us want to admit. No Calligrapher says, a special place in the hot place for these people. OG Mom says, this is why my kids never met anyone I was dating. Safer, and there's no legitimate reason for it. Okay, this is where I saw that these were his kids. Comprehensive Hat says they were his own biological daughters. The children she had before meeting him were boys. Okay, Jesus. See, like I said, I don't know this woman. So I don't know any of her content or anything, but I am glad that she took those daughters out of that situation, biologically hers or not. Go Bravely says, the one you responded to is also a common occurrence, but thank you for the clarification, and it is equally as horrifying. Objective Upset said, and those Fritos will get accolades for stepping up to be a father to kids that aren't their own. Yes, it is all for show so that they can cosplay as the perfect provider and still have like some cover as they do their dirty deeds. Big Library at the bottom says, my mom never dated. It bothered me growing up, but now I understand why. Dog Time Let's Go says, honestly, I've just known too many people who were abused by folks nobody would have expected. I've seen the local registries. I don't feel comfortable trusting any man, and maybe that's not fair to men, but this isn't fair to us. Exactly. At this particular juncture, women have got to stop worrying so much about men's feelings versus women and girls' safety, and sometimes boys too. Women and children's safety, vulnerable people, men's men's image, their feelings, their reputation is not more important than women and children's safety. Hero is a girl's name says, it staggers me how many people have the attitude of just choose better. Obviously, no one sets out to date an abuser on purpose or expose their children to one. While it's obviously good to be informed about red flags and ways to keep ourselves safe, some abusers are really adept at passing themselves off as safe people so that they can gain access to vulnerable people. Except arguably in rare cases of hybristophilia, I have never heard that word before, which are often the case of a traumatized woman who's already been severely abused in the past. Sometimes to the point where it seems safer to get involved with someone who everyone knows is dangerous and already on high alert. I mention this only because I see it brought up a lot on other subs in a victim blaming way and think it's good to have a co-argument ready. So, never heard of hybristophilia? Maybe you have, let me know. So I know this woman, Isis, is going to be talked about. I've already started to see the videos come out about it. And there's no need to beat down on a woman that's probably already beat herself down in multiple ways. She probably feels like she didn't protect these girls, even though, like I said, they're not biologically hers. But I know that she is probably like feeling all of that guilt and shame because she's made her whole image being a wife. And now she has to figure out, in the midst of deep grief, how to rebrand or what moves to make next. So, because look at this woman is gorgeous. Her makeup is gorgeous, but it just really goes to show that being fit, feminine, and friendly is not a way to guarantee anything. You could still be treated terribly. The man that you choose or who chooses you could still be a monster, like she said. This woman is really brave to come forward and speak her truth like this, but her situation is definitely a cautionary tale. Do not just get involved with these people so quickly because it seems from what other people are saying, she moved really quickly with this older man that is supposedly about 20 years older than her. So please don't do that. These age gap relationships have these crazy power dynamics. And, just letting someone take care of you, letting someone take care of you is a vulnerable position where you can't just extract yourself and run away. You have to actually game plan. This is one of the reasons why women need to consistently have their own money and own ways of being able to get out if necessary. Let me know what you think. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. One of my subscribers sent me a story time about her relationship with her husband. In this story time, there is abuse. There's reproductive abuse, financial abuse, emotional, physical abuse. There's all kind of abuse in this story time. So buckle up. Okay, to the story. She says, I have been an active listener of yours for over a year now, and I love to support your channel and other women. Unfortunately, I have events in my life that's unfolded, and I like to share to let other women know as a cautionary tale and for the child-free women to take comfort in their decision and to not be gaslit, shamed, or swayed if it's not something they want. I have been married for shy of 5 years. I came into the marriage with one child who's a preteen now. My spouse and I were once in love, or so I believed. Looking back, he always was sensitive to receiving criticism, but had no issues dishing it out. It came to a point of him snapping out more and more and being outright against hearing anything in any way about how he could improve in the relationship. He wasn't interested in spending time with me any longer. He only came to me when he needed that supportive wife and someone to laugh at his jokes or be a listening ear. He lived on or for his phone and was bothered the moment I opened my mouth, even if it was just calling his name to ask about his day. I left once before because in one of his rage fits, because it escalated and he put his hands on me unprovoked, which was a big no-no. However, he begged me to come back and promised me he would never do it again and blamed it on him being temporarily out of his mind due to recent events. He was going through a tough time and stood to lose several things very important to him. I never should have returned. Things became worse for me, and he baby trapped me, knowing I was vehemently one and done. He lied about pulling out. Sorry if it's too much information, but I came off birth control because it was making me sick and told him on days I'm ovulating, we can't engage in intercourse. He argued with me that I can't deny him X and expect him to remain faithful. I then told him, okay, we can use condoms on those days. He told me he won't be using them because no one gets married then goes back to using condoms. I again said I don't want more babies, so we just won't have X those days because I can't compromise on that. He told me again that doesn't work for him and he will just pull out because he has had enough. He has 3 kids from a prior relationship and didn't want any more either. For the first 6 times, things went as planned. For the seventh and eighth time, not quite. The seventh time, I was sure he didn't pull out on time, and he told me he did, and to trust him. The eighth time, he made no effort to pull out, and afterwards said, "Hurry up and sit on the toilet so it doesn't stay up there too long." To TMI again, sorry, just want to give you the full picture. I panicked and said, "That's not how it works," and told him he knows better and snapped a bit, trying to get from under him. Moving forward, I told him we can't do it when I'm ovulating no matter what because he didn't keep his word. Weeks and weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I look back now and realize that I should have taken a plan B. Funny thing is, after I was confirmed pregnant, his sex drive went down drastically and he was barely interested. So he was purposely trying to baby trap her, and now he's not interested in X anymore with her. During pregnancy, he was cruel and cold and told me he felt bad that he was that way towards me, especially with me being pregnant, and knows I need more support, but I don't listen enough for him to budge and be there for me. What he means is that I have to listen to him 110% of the time, and anything he asks or tells me to do, I have to do it without question, or I'm masculine or combative, even though I state my concerns about some of his ideas calmly and express genuine concern. Asking questions is why I'm considered combative. After birth, I had a tubal ligation because he refused a vasectomy, and I realized that if I didn't want any more children, I have to do what's necessary for me instead of asking him to alter his bodily function after he expressed not wanting to do so. It wasn't my place to push him to do something he didn't want to do. The nurse told him that I needed to heal and rest without lifting anything heavier than the baby and to stay in bed and don't do a lot of things because I had 2 procedures back to back, a cesarean and tubes tied. I was on paid maternity leave. I was breastfeeding too, so I was extremely thirsty and tired often. When I asked him for things like water or a meal while on bed rest, he huffed and puffed and sometimes took hours to bring it to me. Sometimes I didn't get anything at all and I had to painfully go downstairs myself. After week 4, I was in a little less pain and managed to go down the steps with less discomfort. So I sat in the living room with the baby to binge watch TV. Side note, his young adult male son was living with us temporarily at the time and cleaned nothing. He was actually a slob. My kitchen looked atrocious. And at 4 weeks postpartum, he said I had to help him with the dishes in kitchen because things were getting out of control. Help him was code word to do it for him. I informed him very calmly that I would not be helping him because 6 weeks had not passed and I'm still on bed rest and healing. I informed him that his son could contribute since he was staying with us and is his living space too. He had been with us about 2 months at this point. My spouse became irate. His face visibly starts to quiver in a rage, and he yelled, "You won't help me twice?" I calmly stated, "No, I'm still on bed rest until 6 weeks, but he could ask his son." He told me his son doesn't live here, and it's the members of the house who live there to maintain it and to stop mentioning his son. He then said, "I'm not in bed now," and grabbed the stuff around me, my blanket and phone, and forbade me from chilling in the living room. Since it's not a bed and I can't help him since I'm on bed rest, then I need to be in bed. Fast forward to I'm off maternity leave and my classes for the medical program for my bachelor's degree started. This has been a year and a half in the works because I had to take all of my prereqs. I have a 2-year degree in a different field, so I had no sciences. School was planned. My baby wasn't. So by the time I got accepted and scheduled to start school while caring for a newborn, working at a high volume firm with over 100 cases, having to study a lot for my program, I was spread thin and slipping in every area. My husband told me I can't do it all, especially with the baby now, because it's too much. He said I should just get a part time job for my pocket change and that he will continue to pay all the bills, which he's been doing for years since we've been married without my assistance, and to focus on the baby, the house, and studying for school. To be clear, I always work full time for myself and my oldest child outside of him because of the extracurriculars, and I have bills outside of the home, i.e., phone bill, previous school loan, etc., and to buy all of our necessities and toiletries for the house. I didn't trust him based on his history of lying, but I had to make a decision because I was wearing myself too thin and almost fainted on my way home from school. I was also falling asleep at work and school, and it was affecting my grades. Not to mention, he never got up at night to tend to the baby, so I wasn't sleeping at night either. I gave up my okay paying job because I had to prioritize my baby in school. Side note, because this will be important for later on. Months before I left because of the physical altercation, he used my savings to fund his dream that never took off. He also messed up my credit on the same dreams, and now I'm about $2,000 in debt. And I protested that I didn't want to, but to no avail. He shamed me, said I wasn't being a team player, that he provides for us, so he wasn't able to save, and that I should invest in the family because it's going to profit us in the long run. He said it hurts him that I don't trust him and don't want to put him in a position to better the family. He refused to replenish my savings and pay off the debt he accumulated in my name and yelled at me to get over it anytime I mentioned fixing what he damaged. Oh gosh, this part right here is challenging. Shortly after I resigned, he always complained that you don't do you don't contribute to and you're lazy as Me being tired from working part-time hours, breastfeeding, taking care of our baby 96% of the time when we're both home, 100% of the time while he's at work, maintaining the home via cooking and cleaning is just an excuse. I don't clean to his standards because when he comes home from work, he junkies up and I don't clean up right after him, although it was clean before he arrived. He eats all the food I cook and sometimes asks for seconds. Then, if there's a disagreement that occurs a week later, he'll tell me my food is nasty and I can't cook, which is dishonest. Like I said, verbally abusive. There will have to be a part two because this is a long story time. So, part two will be coming up shortly. Okay, so we're at part two of this story time. We got to the point where he convinced her to resign, but now she wasn't doing anything right in the home. All right, so this is where we're starting up. He tried to tell me that after I resigned from my okay paying job, that I'm paying a bill in the house and will start to pay some rent because no one lives anywhere rent free and I'm becoming entitled. Mind you, I never paid rent or house bills our entire marriage, even when I was making an amount of money to be able to do so. I put my foot down and told him absolutely not in any capacity and brought it to his attention what I just explained about never paying them when I could afford it. So I'm not paying them now to be completely destitute because that was the agreement and he knows my part-time job doesn't pay that much. He yelled and raged as always. And I told him that when he's done, I'm still not paying it and that I will leave him before I do so. I meant that. But I also have no means to leave now because I'm paying for my BS degree out of pocket. And after that, essentials, my check is non existent and I don't have relatives I can stay with. He laughed at me. told me that I was pathetic and couldn't go anywhere because I had no savings and my credit was jacked up, and who would take me in? A landlord definitely wouldn't. He also told me that if I refused to leave, he would file a temporary restraining order and the sheriff would make me vacate the home because his name is on the lease and he'll keep the baby so they're not in the streets like me and my oldest. It was at this point that I became completely done with him. I already was checking out, but held out a little hope because I have a baby under one, and didn't want arranged time away from them. But seeing how sinister he was to threaten to do that to my other child, and that evil look in his eye told me he was serious. I told him, okay, do what you have to, but I'm not paying anything. One day later, he came back and said he only won't do that to me because of the baby. I think he thought about all of the baby duties he'd be putting on his lap, including the cost of childcare while he's working. I've considered letting him be the primary caregiver of the baby while me and my oldest go to a shelter if he decided to ever follow up on his initial word or scream in my face for me to leave again until I'm done with school. But I quickly rethought that and cannot leave our baby with him full time. Sometimes when I get off from work, the diaper is beyond full, more than overnight worth. Like since I leave out, the baby isn't getting changed after I do it. There have been rashes. I've shown him and texted him sometimes, don't forget to change the baby while I'm at work. I'm told to leave him alone and that he's been a dad and knows what he's doing. Sometimes the diaper is changed, sometimes it isn't. Almost most times, if our baby cries, he will make a bottle and tend to the baby if I'm absolutely unavailable, like in a Zoom meeting or in the bathroom. But sometimes, if he's stuck in his phone and doesn't want to stop what he's doing, he'll yell at the baby to chill and cut it out and stare very annoyed. The baby will get big-eyed and jump because he's yelling startled them. When he's done on the phone, after a bit, then he'll make the bottle. I'll tell him that's a baby and to relax, but I get ignored. He does it sporadic too, so I can't capture it if ever needed be. And that's with me doing most of it all. So I can't imagine what the baby would endure as far as his mood and yelling if he had to do the bulk because I'm gone, because he'd be beyond frustrated. He's trying to sabotage my schooling so I don't get ahead and can support myself and my children. He's told me recently that a man is going to keep searching until he finds the one if he's not happy with his spouse or girlfriend, although he said it generally. I believe, but can't confirm that he has a lady on the side, and that's why he wanted me to start contributing so he can keep more money in his pocket to treat her while keeping me stuck and needing him for everything. But honestly, I don't care. I'm not here to be Inspector Gadget or solve the mystery like Scooby in the game. However, I believe this because he's starting to be late on bills, and one of our utilities got shut off for weeks recently. My focus are my children and schooling. I'm mentally detached from him and I don't have love or hate for him. I'm completely indifferent to his existence. I've considered a shelter, but I don't want to traumatize my oldest and don't know how that will work. I work 3 overnights per week, so I don't know how that work schedule would work with holding my place. My sibling could watch my children for those 3 nights, but their home is too full for all 3 of us to impose on their family full time. I need more income ASAP and a thorough exit plan for my exact situation. If anyone could give me realistic recommendations or advice, it would be beyond appreciated. I still have to watch my baby, as he won't pay for daycare because I should be watching her per the reason I stopped working my career job, and he doesn't mind overnight 3 times weekly because the baby is a bit older and sleeps through the night now. I also need time to study because this is an intensive course and I have the clinical rotations too. So I feel literally stuck, and I do feel pathetic for tying myself to a man like this and ever giving him access to me. Sometimes I just stop and stare off into the abyss. I can't believe this is my life. I need to safely make an exit plan, but literally have no real money to save after I pay my tuition because the rest goes towards our needs, food, wipes, diapers. School is literally all I have to secure my children's future. I just started school a couple of months ago, and it's a few years programmed all year round. And he's making it difficult by arguing with me before exams or class and not letting me use the car so I can't get to my clinical. But I refuse to miss it and just leave out an hour and 15 minutes early to catch the bus there. We agreed to leave each other alone because the tension is too high. And honestly, we're both over each other unless we have to communicate. But he needs control, so he is bothered that I don't care for his affection or conversation anymore. So he still nitpicks from time to time with me or randomly blames my oldest for things they did not do and get mad when I tell him he's incorrect and to stop falsely accusing them because they didn't do it. My nerves are on the edge, literally, although I mainly ignore him. My left eyelid randomly twitches often, and a couple of times it felt as if my insides are about to quake or tremble. But I've had to pray and take deep breaths, and that calms me before I get to that point. I didn't even want to date him at first. I told him we are better as friends as we have been. He literally begged me to be with him, and I was much nicer back then in my 20s and didn't want to hurt him, so I agreed because he was nice back then. I'm heartbroken, not because the relationship is over for all intents and purposes. There's no returning from this ever, even though we share a home still, because I'm over that part. But because I ignored my gut, had another kid by trusting his word when I knew he wasn't trustworthy. I always told myself and other women to have a stash of cash no one knows about. But because I was too weak mentally, I allowed myself to be bullied by this man and to give it up and give him access to my credit and go against my every instinct I had because of his domineering tendencies and out of fear. I should have never came back after the physical assault. My life, mental health, and livelihood has been going downhill since. Ladies, stop giving the benefit of the doubt, falling for their sad childhood stories, and learn to trust and follow your own instincts. I really hope this woman can get out safely and soon. I honestly don't have answers. I'm a content creator, but I'm putting this out in the atmosphere just in case women can help or give some advice or something. But she's right. Don't give up your stash for a man. Don't allow him to jack up your credit and definitely follow your own instincts. I believe that as more and more women share their stories, 4B is going to continue. The child free movement will continue because women see and understand how a man coming into your life can wreck you mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, all of that. So join the conversation. Let her know if you have any advice for her. And don't forget to like, comment, and share.